Welcome back to another session of Product Like It's Friday, even though it's Wednesday. And should I even recap? Is that even, is it even worth recapping anymore? But yesterday I tackled building more questions with Katex/latex and getting kind of just running through the list of questions and getting them done one by one. And I really just want to continue on that path as much as I can. Really, that's it. I know why do I keep saying I'm not like becoming aware of me saying over and over, but yeah, that's it.
Wait, are you doing that deliberately in that last one?
The last was deliberate, yes.
Okay, good.
What do you have to say for yourself, Mary?
I'm here to chill, but also I am very close to finishing up a interview snapshot.
Awesome.
So I would love to spend, 10, 15 minutes towards the end to just go through it. But otherwise, here for the vibes.
Okay, vibes, let's do it. You might have to enforce your timings near the end because I'm just, I'm going to be heads down and I might forget. Okay, so let me share my screen and let's get started in terms of where we were, like what the app does now. Generate a bunch of players. Just as a reminder, the shuffling still works. Create a game and start the round. And now we have Katex here. We have Katex here, although it's not as prevalent in this region. And we have various types of questions. I'm just going to mark them correct now. We have this type of a question with fractions, and it's kind of exciting at this stage. I'm not a person that gets excited usually. I don't get pre-excited. I get post-excited. I don't have like this sense of excitement approaching a thing. But once it's done, I'm like, yes, that's when excitement starts for me. Okay. And what I want to do is just continue down the path of looking at these questions and building them out one by one. Because a big win for me would be, since I'm measuring this whole project in a 3-year span, would be to go back and say, most of these questions, like, 85, 90% or whatever of these questions are here, at least on these slides anyway. And then we might take a peek into some of these. But I think I did take a peek earlier, and it also felt like 60% of them are easily doable from what we've built so far. So we probably don't need to get close to 85% here, but it would be nice to do as many of these as possible.
Yeah, I think the docs have easier questions, at least in terms
That's
of
what
formats.
I felt too. That's what it seemed like. But I think some of the trick with some of these questions is really trying to understand the spirit of the question versus sometimes the placement. So, for example, if this is 100 and this is 5, I'm just making this up. I haven't even read the question. Is the spirit here that it's a multiple of 5 type problem that's here? That definitely was apparent to me in the docs, where I was like, oh, I think the intention is to have a limited set. Like, what's the question really trying to test from the student? And sometimes it's not just the numbers that it seems like. But
I have a question.
Oh, yes, hello.
Are you looking to impress your sister?
Not really. I think that's a good question. No, not. I'm looking to fulfill my end of the bargain at a point where I feel like, oh yeah, that's, if I went back and I said, oh, we generate these 4 types of questions, I don't feel fulfilled, right?
Okay.
I think I also, this is going to be so egotistical. I feel like if I show my sister what we have now, she'd be impressed.
I think it is very much functional and you can play it today.
Exactly. It's very playable. But I think one of the charms and this might be where I'm again breaking my own rule of like limit or minimize, is I think one of the charms of a game like this is having a variety of questions. Because even as I was going next here, getting a bunch of addition and subtraction questions is just not that like engaging. Whereas and this is precisely how this is designed. It's and so like, and that captures the spirit. But I think that's that spirit is definitely part of my minimum level. Okay, I'm going to do one thing. I'm going to quickly unshare my screen for a second. And because I want to double check where my bar is and everything. Because it's like, I always get annoyed that it's on the main screen. So no, it's not. But I know it'll come back. And like how many pending Slack messages I have remaining will be displayed to the world, and I'll feel weird. That's fine. Okay, having that said, okay, yeah, I need to minimize.
I have another question. No,
Hit me.
I forgot.
What? What?
It escaped me as soon as I said it. It will come back.
Unbelievable.
ADHD, baby.
You know how excited I got?
I will remember.
I was like, a question for me? Okay, so let's just continue from where we were.
Wait, I remembered.
Oh, wow. God damn it, Mary. No, please, go ahead.
So you had in the past mentioned that many people have come to you for like, oh, can you build this? Can you build that? As a designer, I have had that experience as well. Why did you want to build this in particular?
Oh yeah, hold on. I was gonna go to the non-screen sharing view. Why did I want to build this in particular?
And not any of the other ideas.
Yeah, it's
because they sucked. No, I'm kidding.
I think there's two things. I think when someone is trying to start a business with an idea, I feel like they have no idea the amount of work I have to put in. And I immediately know I'm going to be devalued. Like, there's no chance. Like, and the odds of it being successful are low. So it just doesn't make sense from a odds perspective. And I'm like, okay, how much am I going to be invested in this idea of yours to sell? I don't know, magical gift cards, let's just say. And it might be the greatest idea, but it's like, one, the odds are low. It depends on, I don't sell. So it depends on your ability as a salesperson. It depends on your ability as a marketer. Do I trust your ability on these things? Like, it's not just magic. It's like people put too much weight on the idea itself. And it's like, I have ideas. I have more ideas than you do. I have better ideas than you do. And I haven't worked on them. Why do you think now is this magical? I know I'm ranting, but like, why do you think this is, I'm just saying what you're thinking. So it's okay. I'm like, why is this a magical moment in time where your idea is relevant? And then, or like where I get messages from people in the last few years being like, I have an AI idea. And I'm like, really? You have an AI idea? Great. Thanks a lot. You're the, because AI is pretty much everywhere now. It's like every app. I opened up Everend, which is like this audio book and ebook app. And it's like, oh, use AI to get your next suggestion. It's like everywhere. So, like, I'm just not as enthused about other people's ideas. This idea was lower in its kind of like, oh, we're going to try and sell this thing. Though there was some discussion of that, very brief. And then I think very early on, I was like, okay, if I'm going to work on it, I like the idea of it being available to public school teachers free of charge. And who knows if this ever even gets deployed or used. Like, so, that whole pressure of working with someone who's trying to push and sell is very different. It's just not generally enjoyable unless I'm invested in the product itself. How do you think about when people come to you with ideas?
I mean, nowadays I'm like, you do it. You have the tools to do it. Like,
so you're like, you use AI to do it?
Yeah, like if you have the idea, you do it.
Okay, can we talk about that though? So let's park this "you do it" thought for a second. But go ahead. What are your other responses, though, general,
I
historic.
think I also feel like I have too many ideas myself to care about other people's ideas.
Yeah.
And some of my ideas I know are just like, I call them things nobody asked for, except for me. I'm like, I want
Yeah.
this,
Right.
and in a selfish way, I'm like, I want to build the thing I'm gonna use. You know, I'm not,
Yeah.
or like somebody that I know for sure, like my friend or like my neighbor can use. Like, I'm not gonna go down a rabbit hole for an idea where I don't know who it's for. Um, and so, I mean, this idea resonated with me because I come from a family of a lot of teachers. Like, both of my parents were teachers. My sister was a teacher, no longer a teacher for the moment, and my brother-in-law is a teacher. So lots of teachers in the family. I'm kind of the exception if I'm thinking about it that way. So I don't know, and I've met a lot of people who are like in education,
Right.
and so I don't know. And I think the fact that it's not my idea actually made this easier to
Interesting.
get involved.
Why is that? Why? Because it seems almost the reverse, right? Your idea, one would assume, would make it easier to get involved.
Yeah, I think my ideas are easier to get started, but because I have so many competing ideas, they start like competing for my attention.
Mm-hmm.
And because for most of them, I'm working on them by myself, or like I'm trying to chip away at the idea by myself.
Right.
It's really easy to lose steam and just be like, oh, there's this other shiny ball to chase.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. But I think probably working with someone changes that. For example, if you and I were to work on an idea of yours and you were like, shiny ball over there, I might be like, Mary, I wrote 10 lines of code. What, like, you want me to throw it away? What are we going to do? And then you would feel all kinds
I
of
would
things.
feel guilt.
Yeah, guilt, shame, the usual. I do have one other thought that emerged, which is validation of product as well. Where often when people have spoken to me about ideas, they saw something on WhatsApp or they saw something on Twitter or something. They were like, I want to replicate this, right? It's like when Facebook is out, somebody comes with an idea of another kind of Facebook, and I'm like, where? No. And so versus this, where like there's all this work and effort that's got into the essence of the game. Like we have questions, we have this was run in multiple classes. This was run school wide and class wide. So that validation, and when that work in validation is put in by someone who's bringing you an idea, I think that would probably help pull me towards like, oh, you put in this much validation, now we put in this much work, we have a learning, like you have 5 people that are ready and itching to learn. So now I have like the cycle of feedback loop versus your inner emotions, your like your Steve Jobs complex driving us versus actual potential customers driving us. It's a major difference. And so, and yeah, typically people that put heavy weight in ideas do have some kind of Steve Jobs complex of like, just I have this magical sense of taste and mine is better than yours. And I'm like, no thanks.
Yeah, I mean, I think a healthy dose of that is important as well. Like, you gotta believe in your idea to some extent, and you gotta believe your taste to some extent, but not
Agreed, but I
blindly.
think it needs to be validated by your
Yeah.
work. Like that, your taste needs to be
Yeah.
demonstrated by what you've produced in the past.
Yeah, you can't just be like, trust me.
Yeah, exactly. This trust me idea. Okay, so I want to get back to this notion of
Yes.
do it yourself using AI.
Oh, okay. I thought we were done.
Get back to
talking
work.
about
You were like,
this.
yes. No, what are you talking about? This idea of do it yourself using AI is a fascinating one now because, scrolling some social media sites, Twitter, what have you, you do see this. You do see people saying, hey, I'm now earning $50K a month by vibe coding this product that flies airplanes or does this or that. That one, I think did seem legit. I'm not sure how exactly legit some of these other posts are. So there's some evidence of that happening. Would we not see a lot more of these happening?
Yeah, I think at least based on like what I'm observing, people are just like throwing their hands around and not really like digging into how to actually use the tools,
Right.
including myself. I have
Right.
very lightly like experimented with the tools, and
Mhm.
I'm like, oh, okay, I see. Like there is potential, but I think it still require a lot of thinking, and I think
Yeah.
the danger is when you're outsourcing the thinking part to AI, and yeah, I think you still need to do the thinking yourself and like outsource the grunt work to AI,
Yeah.
maybe.
Yeah. No, I hear you. And even in that grunt work, I feel like there's because if you were to build a lowest common multiple app, you would have a really bad time, and so you have to work and rework and double check and triple check. And then again, I feel like that's why you have a bunch of non designers slash developers, let's just say, salivating about the promise of AI. And like, but because there's a lot of invisible work that um, not just designers and developers, but anyone who's touching software, like
Yeah,
testers or whomever, like anyone sort of
builders, anybody
builders
that
of
builds,
software, developers, like as I like to call them, right? Like developers of software. Um, there's a lot of invisible self-correction work that happens that people who, and even product managers get caught in this trap because they think sometimes that, I'm generalizing, I know, but not all product managers find, but I'm like, that level of management and above sometimes is like, our instructions are clear, just go do it. No, your instructions are not clear. There's all these like, there's
yeah,
unimportant edge cases, but you've missed on all like a lot of important edge cases. And now when we have questions, you act like we're bothering you. As if like we're trying to cause delays, and like, no, like there's a lot of thinking that we're doing now.
yeah,
I've seen developers carry that so much at the companies I've worked at, and it's sort of this unappreciated, invisible work that happens.
yeah, yeah. I think it's a. I think I feel like at least where we are right now with the technology, AI is a, if you use it well, is a good tool for like validating little pieces of
Yeah,
something. Like it, I don't know. I don't think it's at a point where you can just build a thing that's
yeah.
remotely complex.
I also want to be very earnest about sort of my general level of disdain, because I use AI every day. And when my like autocomplete AI doesn't like, is like not connected because I'm not on the internet, I miss it. So I want to be honest about that. Like I'm like, oh, this sort of like basic autocomplete stuff would be nice if I had it. Okay, fine. I'm just gonna type it out myself. There's that section. Um, so I would say I'm not as heavy a user of AI as is perceived out there, but I'm a fairly moderately heavy user of AI. Let's just say, and most of my cases, like 75% of my AI use cases, have been streamed. Like that's how I use AI most of the time. And then the ones that I'm almost purposely not doing for this project is when I go and ask some general questions of like, hey, how do I, do this kind of a thing? And I'm like, you know what? It's nice to exercise that muscle. So I'm going to just focus on the autocomplete part. The second portion is, I'd be lying if I said I didn't feel some kind of a discomfort and a threat of that kind of a tool overtaking a bunch of jobs. Having that said, it's just very instinctual, that sense and feeling. But the other part of it is I kind of welcome it. And like, again, like I want AI to take over. Like, why should software be exempt from what software has been doing to the world? Right?
Yeah.
Software has, software is going to eat the world, or something like that was the mantra 15, 20 years ago, of all these jobs getting swept away from software. So why should I, as a person who's benefited from that, be somehow exempt or protected from that? And and you know what? Like maybe now it's time for me. I'm actually looking forward to the time where people are like, Adnan, we don't need you. I gave the
Really?
instructions to AI. You're like, we're paying you too much. It's not worth it. What are you doing? You're just a beard on a keyboard. Stop. Right. And and then I want to go, okay, great. Now I can maybe become a magician or a barista or a carpenter or something where I'm working with my hands.
Hmm.
I might have said painter, but I feel like that job also AI. I might have said a teacher, which seems appealing, but I feel like that job also AI will kind of be heavily, if like people want to eliminate, like people who want to control capital want to eliminate a labor force so they don't have to, so they can get all the benefits from it. So that's why you have all these like even higher level people just salivating about like, how do we destroy the labor force and not have to pay it and still gain all the benefits. And so I don't welcome that portion, but I do welcome this idea of like me not being protected by, like, I've benefited from the tech world and the tech world has caused issues in the world. And so I don't, that protection does not apply to me. Okay. That was my TED talk, I guess.
This was, I mean, I know we've talked about this in the past, but this was not what I expected to open right away.
But it's so relevant because I'm just seeing it all the time. Like, Figma had their keynote today. LinkedIn, I'm seeing posts on AI like every day, and I'm getting tired.
Yeah, I think I feel like people are getting tired. I don't think it's just us. Like, just through conversations with other people, like people are getting tired. Like, it's a lot to, like, one, it's a lot to catch up with. Like, there's just so much going on. And then two, it's like, it feels like, is this even worth catching up on? Like, it's like, should I be catching up on these different trends? Like, is this a trend? It feels very trendy. I think it's I don't know. I'm curious to see if this is like one of those bubble situation. Well,
yeah, for sure. Okay, I'm going to do one more 3-minute rant. Okay, just please, if you will allow me, and then we'll get started with. I want to build the app too, but also I feel like. So this is something that I've been sort of churning in my head for a while. I think I first mentioned the sort of the kernel of the idea. Actually, when we had gone to lunch with one of our ex-coworker friends way back for Thai food, I believe, and there, because this was just like, it was much earlier. It was a few years ago, I believe, and there I was like, you know what, it's gonna be like the wheel. Like it is like I wasn't there when the wheel was invented, and probably was kind of invented multiple times in different societies. I don't know. I've done zero research on this, but I have opinions. Okay, zero research, strong.
When you say the wheel, you're not talking about the car, right?
No, yeah, and that's exactly kind of where I want to take this comparison.
Okay.
Like,
sorry.
it's like, yeah, I'm talking about the wheel itself. Like the wheel itself is fairly revolutionary, just in terms of what it's able to accomplish, and how its progression changes. But now, it's like it's a invisible part of transportation. Let's just say. So you have your car enthusiasts, your airplane enthusiasts, your fire truck enthusiasts that will look at the wheel and obsess over it. But my guess is that 99% of the people, when they're buying a car, you're not talking about the wheel. You're not talking about how revolutionary the wheel is.
Mm-hmm.
It's a forgotten piece of like revolutionary technology. And I feel like AI right now, because it's fresh and you're easily able to manipulate people with it, in terms of like by promising maybe more than it delivers, whatever the case may be. So people want to leverage that for sure, but now it's kind of, and it's included in every app. It's open source. Like I feel like and that's what people that are selling it, your major AI companies are trying to combat that narrative of like, no, we have an AI that's like special. But most of what people want to do for most purposes is available for not free, because you need to destroy the environment to do it, but because you need the GPUs to do it, and not every computer has that. So, but if once people find better ways of running this technology, I feel like that kind of specialness of it will even be devalued further. It's going to be, but the huge difference between the wheel and AI, I think, and I'm still like, no, because I want to like write a couple of paragraphs on this at some point, is that the non-deterministic nature of AI. Like a wheel will generally, like when you turn the steering wheel, it will generally turn, in the way that it goes. But AI doesn't. Like you turn the AI wheel this way, and it's like, where will it take you?
It's more like okay, this is probably a bad analogy. I was originally thinking of electricity, but like a form of it that's a little more wild card like.
Yeah, exactly. It's whatever technology is revolutionary, but way more wild card.
Yeah.
And so that is just, we see a question from Really, a comment from Really, which is also, I think both of us clicked on it at the same time, again, twice. So go ahead, do it. I'm gonna not. What is this live about? We ask this question every day. Okay, really? This live, before you jump out of here saying what is this? We're building an app. Let me share my screen. And we take breaks to rant about AI. We're building an app that is sort of like a spelling bee, but a math bee instead. So you answer a question, we reveal the answer, it gets marked as correct or incorrect, you get eliminated if you're incorrect, and then we give you a new question. And the idea is we're still sort of in progress of building it. We've been building it for the last, no, don't look up answer. We've been building it for the last month, I believe. And so you can look at the previous lives that we've done. All of 100% of the code of this has been done live streamed. And I feel like a good chunk of design, like, would you say majority of the design has been done?
Yeah, I think so. Like 80%.
80%, yeah. So, and we're just going to continue building it, and then also use this as a platform to rant about our feelings.
And friendships.
And friendship. Yes, sorry, I forgot the main goal. To accomplish friendship as well. Thank you for your question, and thank you for watching. Okay, so let's actually demonstrate what this live is about. All right, take a breath, and here we go. I want to continue converting these questions one by one, and seeing, and if I don't have the facility to develop the question, then I build it into the code. So I did this the last time, and there's some still gaps in this question, but I'm happy to move on for now. This one seems like a fairly easy one. And here is where I will use AI to do this for me. 6 minus 2 in Katex, 6 minus 2 times 3 minus 4. I think that was the, yeah. And, oh, that seems, yeah, that seems fairly simple. That's interesting. In display math and math, I'll just try these out. And here I can come back. What I'm doing is I am defining questions in a particular format here. And so what I'll do is just copy this one, multi-division. And let's call this multi-subtraction multiplication. I know some of these names won't make sense, and that's fine. So I need 4 integers. And just double checking here. Yeah, all of them seem to be positive integers, and the subtraction will take care of subtracting. So I will go 1 to 10 for each for now, and we'll keep it fairly standard. So numbers from 1 to 10 probably should be 2 to 10, but that's fine. 4 numbers, 1 to 10. And then the question can be defined in this format. And we'll see how LaTeX actually addresses it. And this is one of the previous viewers, Hinoji, kind of hinted to me that I can say this, and I don't have to escape these slashes here. Okay, and the answer to this, I'm going to try and see if AI can generate this for me. Value minus this times this plus this. Look at that. Right here, it says minus here. It should pick it up. It doesn't. And just for clarity, I will add these braces here and return the answer. And my expectation is now when I come back and generate a new game, I'm going to get that question. And that's really it. Like we're at the grunt work. Well, like a lot of this is like the grunt work portion. So the question doesn't display. So this AI suggestion does not work. Let me try this one. And I'm not really invested in debugging the specifics at certain times. It's just kind of want to move on. Neither one of those seems to want to display, probably because none of this is necessary. Also, yeah, I mean, okay, fine. I also realized I didn't substitute any of my numbers here. And D. And I believe like there's nothing special here, and my sense is that this now ought to work. And if not, I will actually debug it because I haven't done a mindless copy paste from AI like I did twice, and it didn't work twice. And here we go. If I had done it, this is the way I would have done it first time. So, all right, so we have this working. I'm going to trust the answer is correct. -2 here. No, wait. Yeah, -2 here times 6. So I don't even know. I don't even want to think about it, to be honest. Let's see if I can't do this. -7. It's right. No math required. And here's the difference too. In my wheel example also, I've used a calculator, but calculators, I know people would have been upset about calculators kind of taking away things, but at least calculators are deterministic. Like that answer is always going to be that answer. You ask AI how many R's in strawberry, and you don't know what you're going to get.
Yeah, that's true. I think I read through, like, I skimmed through this prompt engineering guide, and one thing that I retained from that was like you have to tell it to be competent. You have to be like, you are a whatever, like basically like use your noggin, AI. Yeah.
That's interesting because that's how I manage people as well. Just kidding. Am I though? Okay, find the next number in the pattern. And there's probably something special about this pattern, and I might use AI for that. Next number in pattern. And I don't know, this is a question type I haven't implemented. So I feel like I'm going to have to take some thinking on how to do this, because it's probably not worth defining individual variables. Maybe it is, maybe it isn't. Or each variable is dependent on the value of the previous one in a pattern, right? And then that's how the next one gets determined as well. I actually don't dislike that. I do not dislike that, because then I don't have to think about ways of necessarily defining. So I can say something like A will generate a random number from this to this, and then here I can say add. Sorry, I did one of these already. Multiply by. So I can say something like add 2A, and then I can say add to B. No, that doesn't make sense. I can generate A, which is my value, let's just say. So I can say add to value. So B gets added to value, something like this. It's very raw in my head, but some pattern like this. I don't think this will work off the top of my head, but I'm just trying to prime my brain to think about a better solution as I talk. But let's actually play this out. The pattern that I will have is -1, sorry, 1, -2, just so I can type it out. It'll be copy pastable, potentially into our friend AI. Wait, let's ask AI. And then I'll have to figure out what the pattern here specifically is as well. What is the next number in this pattern? Each number is multiplied by -2. So it starts with, so that's the idea, is like you kind of have a start value that's generated, and then the next value is multiplied by the previous one. So here I would say something like start value is this, and then B is equal to start value multiplied by, so I need two things. I need a start value, and I need a kind of a change value. And again, all these like naming and everything, I'll think about later. And this integer, for example, can be from -2, let's just say, to 3. It probably shouldn't be -1 or 0. So I feel like, should there be like exclude 0, exclude -1? So I need to build these kinds of things in. So these are the kinds of problems each problem template presents that I need to solve. But for now, I won't go too deep. Like this I'll add as the question kind of slowly reveals itself. So I have a start value and a change value. So let's say the start value is, in this case, 1, and the change value is -2, right? And obviously, for my test purposes, I can actually go ahead and force that by doing something like this as I'm testing, and then change it to get a better idea. So I have a start value and a change value, and my next values are determined by these two values. So the next number in the pattern is, I'm trying to think of how I define this idea of a next number. So let's say, can I just say A for now? And let's see if there's a way to define it. So it's no longer a min-max type situation. So that goes away. Type is an integer. Type is.
We have a comment.
Pardon me?
We have a comment. Are you finding error in debugging, sir?
I am not, Hamad. I am not finding errors in debugging. I am. As errors happen, I debug them. But we're trying to build an app, which is the game, which is a math bee. So your children come up, assuming the children come up, participants come up, they answer a question. If they get it wrong, they're eliminated. If they answer it correct, they move to the next round. And then we cycle this, very much like a spelling bee. And we are developing this interface for this kind of a math bee thing. And I am trying to build what people played using these slides in code. And yeah, I am debugging or developing, like I'm trying to think of how I can implement these types of things. And welcome to Steam. Thank you for your question.
I have a question.
For me or for Hamad?
Yeah, for anyone, for you, but also anyone watching. How did you like math growing up?
Yeah, I enjoyed math. Yeah, did you?
I did. I did. I didn't enjoy math class per se, but so I grew up in China until I was 11. And in China, education is very intense, especially on the math side, I would say. And one thing every kid would do, technically it's optional, but like everybody does it,
Yeah.
is go to Saturday Math Olympics class. And this is the type of question that would show up
Math
for
Olympics.
like grade 4,
Yeah.
which is insane. So I'm
No.
looking at them and old memories are coming back.
Yeah. Yeah. This is it.
Childhood trauma. No, I'm kidding.
It is, no doubt, no doubt. So I'm starting to, I don't like what I'm doing here, but I feel like I'm starting to develop my own kind of mini language. I don't know how I feel about it. I could also do code here, which I've been trying to avoid, with some assumption that you're going to get vars, and I can do vars for each one. So I can do start values, let's say times change. And then return x. That's possible as well. I could do what I did here, whereas like I have maybe a simpler way of expressing the same thing, like this, but then I have to actually go and execute this, which is a little bit suspect, shall we say. Now, maybe a good time for me to take a look at, and I was thinking about this before, maybe a time for me to, we've done all this work. We've done all this like analysis of how to generate questions and do this. Are there libraries out there that just generate math questions for you? Like that's, I think, maybe one of the first things I should have done. And secretly I did off stream. Math question generating libraries. We can also ask AI. And look, math question generator, Java library. Let's just say JavaScript. And look, here AI actually jumps in. It's not quite what we want. So maybe I could be a little bit more descriptive. Actually, what happens to Google now? If I say, I want a JavaScript library that generates math questions. MathJax doesn't do that. So this library I had come across before. And one of the reasons I think I wanted to use it is because of this evaluate business that it does. And I can express this so I don't have to do the hard work of evaluation or the nuances of evaluation. And we keep it fairly limited, right? So I can use this library in order to evaluate for me. But I don't know if it generates questions. It does evaluations of like, which is pretty neat, right? You could type in something like this 2-inch and it will figure it out. I don't know where the exact, I never looked at the details of exactly how to use it and leverage it. But the fact that it does something as simple as this or this is very encouraging. And so I will, I'll use it to do just this initially, and then we can figure it out. So I came across this library many days ago, like maybe sometime last week. Let's just see if this has anything relevant. Actually, maybe I should read the question. I mean, this is going to be fairly, like, there's no chance in this much code that you're going to do anything more complex than what we have already built. So I'm probably just going to ignore this. And also scanning this, yeah, it's like you're doing these 3 operations. So it's fine. I'm not, but I think this is more relevant to me immediately. So Hamad, yes. So this channel, which you randomly came upon, is named Random Acts of Coding precisely for I feel like random is so permissive. Sometimes where we schedule things, it becomes very restrictive. You're bound by a schedule, and that's how I feel sometimes. Although I find some schedules or some scheduling helpful. But the randomness, I feel like, just gives me so much freedom. I'm like, oh, today I'm going to stream at 5 p.m. Today I'm going to stream at 11 p.m. Today I'm going to stream at 2 p.m. And I can just do it without any expectation from myself as a streamer and yourself as a viewer. And if we meet, we meet. And I like that. Okay. So here I am trying to generate. So maybe I can write the rest of this. And I don't maybe love this, but it's a starting point. And if I can get it working, then that's good enough. So this result then becomes a plus change. So we're going to take the value of a as we are, and this becomes times change. Come on. And so now we're, there are more dynamic ways and more condensed description ways of doing this. And this might be a bit more involved, but that would take, the smarter way would take longer to implement. And this longer descriptive way, more verbose way, will take, like, I already know how I'm going to do it. So this is the way I'm going to approach it because I know how to do it, and I don't really want to spend time trying to figure out how to do it the other way. And once I get it working, if there's a better way, I can replace it. No problem. And now AI knows what I want to do. And I can even go with E. And because, so now I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 numbers like this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 numbers in my, I'm sort of getting distracted by in my pattern. I will answer your question, Vikas, if you just give me let me just finish my thought here, which is, so I've generated these variables with 5 numbers in my pattern, but I actually have 7 variables. And for ease of purpose, I can actually call one variable answer, and because the next one is going to be the answer. Again, all of this could be mathematically determined. We'll figure that later. Because if you rewind by maybe even 5 minutes, earlier when Hamad had joined, I described what we're doing. And if you stick around, I promise you it will become very clear what we're doing. But we're building a math B game, very much like a spelling bee game. So I have a variable derived, and the type is going to be derived. And it does not have a max, min, numerator, all this business. It has a result string, which I'm probably going to rename in a second. And is that it? Is that all it has? Yeah, that's all it has. I'm going to rename result to formula, actually, which feels nicer because that is the formula for what I want to do. My typing is still broken. Because of this. So I have derived, and here I need to add it to the overall variable type, and now my typing is functional. And now I have to, so the code that will generate these numbers is already done. I will need to write the code that will generate these variables because the derived type is not handled yet. And for that, I will need to go ahead and include this math.js library. So let me do that. And as that's happening, let me quickly read the usage. Import whatever from this, and then, okay. And, you know, maybe it also has a very string way of doing these functions. It doesn't describe it here. So it does do like sine 45 degrees. So I'd be very curious to see how that works down the road. But can I do sqrt in here? So we'll play around with it. We'll test it out. math.js. Okay, great. And here, I will need to, my variable generation code is here. And again, this absolutely needs a refactoring, but for now, it's easier to just dump all the code in one place and build. AI is suggesting some things, but I'm reading it and I'm not loving it, so we're not going to look at it. So the derived one comes in from, because it's not even, yeah, so it is using the formula and is doing some replacements. So definitely the replacement work I will have to do. Okay, let's just see how this goes. So I'll import, not square root. I actually care about this example, evaluate. So I'll import evaluate and come out here. Maybe does AI understand now what I want to do? Seems like it does. So this is the replacement for each kind of variable. And it's happening through variables. That's correct. And if the value doesn't exist, it'll throw null, which is kind of nice. Returns a string, and that gets replaced, allegedly. So let's see. And then additionally, we are using evaluate with the formula to generate it. And then the question itself is here because we want to replace everything in the question template. And that seems okay to me. Yeah, that seems, because we're calculating the value, we're evaluating the value, and then we're doing the replace on the value versus a simple replace on the value for an integer. Okay, so let's see if these numbers don't get generated. And here I can actually now come back and do the detail, like find the next number in the pattern. So yeah, find the next number in the pattern. I want a new line, and then start is actually included. So it turns out I don't need E because the starting number is part of the pattern. So yeah, I mean, might as well. Get rid of E. Now I have to redefine this as D. Get rid of E here. And that ought to be it. And then just so we're, I want to try and be as exact to the question as possible. And that should be enough for me to generate this. So we've done a bit of work here, and none of this might work. So let's see. It doesn't work. So there are some errors. Let's take a look. No current player found. It's not the error that I had expected, but it might be the case that there's a clear error here in the console. Also not seeing a clear error here, unfortunately. So let's go back. It might be the case that the error occurred earlier. So let's see. Now we've gone further, and okay, so probably I'm going to restart the server just in case. So some weird thing happened, but additionally, we're almost close. This new line wasn't properly addressed because it actually just needs a single one. And this is where the AI did not detect that I used string.raw. and copied the double slash pattern that's in other places in the code. Okay, so let's do this again. And hopefully we see that pattern question generate. Beautiful. And this will generate the exact problem that we had fed into here as well. So the answer should be negative 32. Because right now, all the questions will follow that pattern. That does not look correct, and that's because I didn't fix the answer function. So I need to define the answer function. And here, because I've done this kind of formula business, there might be a way to generate the answer function. So instead of an answer function, I can kind of have an answer formula that looks like this, because now I have the math library to process that. But that'll be for later. Hamad says, "Sir, first of all, thank you for calling me sir. And then secondly, I'm falling in love with your coding style. What is your what is my suggestion for him to follow and cultivate my coding style? Are there any specifics? Because coding style is such a broad term. I'm curious about if there's any specific things that you are liking here, and maybe I can get into some detail about that process. So now let me define the answer. And the answer actually is like answer is var's answer.value. So it's very simple because we've generated the answer using our system of generating numbers. And I'm really liking that process. Although again, this could be far more simplified. All right, so let's test that out. We have a functioning question, and now I want to no longer hard code these values. So one can be the starting value here, but maybe the starting value is either like, can actually range. I can, the starting value can be -2 to 2. You really need to exclude 0 in multiplication, because I feel like this question will really be horrendous if there's no exclusion. Because 0 will ruin the entire thing. The pattern is all zeros. So, okay, let's see. So I will actually implement the exclude business now. And this might, again, not be the best way of doing it, but we're not looking at the best way of doing things right now. We're looking at the ways that will move us further, ways of doing things. And again, yeah, you don't want -1. That's too simple. You don't want 0. And you could do anywhere from like -3 to 3 to keep some simplicity. And so let's go ahead and add an exclude in the integer definition. And then maybe this exclude also gets generated in some of these other ones, like, I want to avoid certain numbers, avoid certain patterns even. Okay, so let's see where and how I can implement this. So the generator happens here. So here's the code for the generator part, and this is the integer where integers get generated. And here I'm thinking there's no clear way for me to avoid a number as is being generated. So a few things. I'm thinking maybe this is a good time to refactor a little bit. So I might have a function here that says generate random integer, right, which takes min-max, which takes a min-max value and generates just does what it says it'll do. And I'm kind of happen to be using this in a number of different places. So here, for example, here, for example, and here, just by scanning the code. Here we're not. So I will actually end up replacing this. So numerator.value, nope. Numerator, not numberator, numerator.value is equal to, let's see if this does it. Yep. And then denominator, yep. And I can replace that with that. I can come down here and do the same with variable. So it doesn't know what I want to do. Variable min, variable max. So now I've replaced a function broadly with generating a number. And what I want to do now is do this in a loop until I get a number that's not in my exclude list. So so I would want to do that here because I still want this multiply by to be respected. In this case, there's a good sort of case to be made that multiply by should be outside, because just because a number, like multiply by should not be limited to integers, for example. But for now, we will live with this because it turns out there's more changes that I would have to do in order to accommodate the other way. Okay, so where are we? I want this done in a loop. So I want to say something like let number is valid is equal to false, while number is not valid, generate random numbers. So now I think it's picked up what I want. Let me just double check it. Check if the number is in the exclude list. So if variable exclude and it includes the value, then continue. So I'll skip this line and I'll continue. And it's not valid until it is valid. And I feel like that's fine. Now, for some reason, it thinks that the number might not be, is possibly null, which really should not be the case. Let me just see what the code was before. So the code before was very straightforward. I might, in order to avoid this and not have any kind of major issues, I'll just do this for now. This is not the right way of doing it, but it's also not that big a deal. I just want something simple and functional. So away we go. And so now it definitely, like, it just does the exact opposite of what I wanted. Just negative ones, because maybe somewhere along the line I'm not. That's interesting. Yeah. Okay. Okay. We got one case. So we got one case of these ones and negative ones happening. And that just means that the multiple is 1, which means I didn't properly put it in my exclude list. Right? So I did -1 here. My starting point can be 1, but this number, and let's just, that should be the case. And now we shouldn't see these ones, because when you multiply by 1, you're going to see this. So the code we wrote works, but the definition of our question wasn't quite correct. These seem to be getting fairly complicated, but I don't mind it, actually. It just means you have to do some work. And some patterns are going to be easier than some other patterns. One thing I noticed, Mary, here in this flow is, and I won't think about it right now, but in the future, we probably want to avoid having the same question twice. And because we're generating it randomly, that case will occur, and it has here. It'll occur less when we have different types of questions, so you won't notice it.
I wonder.
But
yeah, I was just gonna say. I think first, yes, I think that's a good call. But I also wonder if like we can limit the biggest number, like the last integer they see. So like instead of always displaying 5, like maybe if it's like super big, we can limit it to 4. I'm not sure if I'm making sense.
Yeah, I see what you mean. Because you're saying, hey, the difficulty of this question seems to be like getting wild. Can we simplify?
But also like I think it could be cool to have larger multiples but less numbers in the pattern, if that makes sense.
Yeah. So the way I would want to do it, so I wouldn't necessarily want to have like logic to address that. I would actually force that back to the question designer. And those are actually two different definitions. Because what you would do is you define another one that maybe takes 3 and 4,
I see.
but limits the number of variables. And now it's work that I could do, but then I'd have to have a way of defining it, but which is really just code. You know what I mean? Like at some point, the definition of what people want here is actually code, and we don't really want them to write code. Instead, it might be not as intuitive, but neither of these patterns are intuitive, but it's probably easier to do just copy paste this and define a different question. For now.
Another question specific to this, I guess, question type is like when you, I guess, define the change variable, are you thinking about like other operators? Is that why you called it change rather than like multiplier as an example?
Yeah, because here this could have been plus.
Yeah.
And then it would just work. So, but you'll see that in the name, I put in multiply at the end. And now we're sort of, it becomes a kind of language of its own. And again, I do like that because of this library that does this. It's, apart from using AI to just describe what your heart wants and it kind of magically does it, this is probably the closest we're going to get to something that's not impossible for people to use. I also like that, not for every example, but for many examples, this could easily, like if I did kind of answer formula, okay, it has no idea what I want. That's fine. It would be this.
It cannot read your mind.
It cannot. It should. Like, AI should actually be that good to figure out what's happening because there's so much context here. But answer formula being defined like something like this. Now I know A minus B, so you don't have to write this kind of a code to do this. And I spent a bunch of time talking about how I don't love this. But this would be the way to do it. And then the reason I didn't want to code the code that does this, because it's like, what are we doing? And that's where exactly like these libraries come in handy. So, okay. But this I might do later. I am happy to commit this code. And we've added 2 different types of questions so far. But specifically, we've added the ability to create a derived value, whatever that may be, and it uses other variables to generate that value using this formula business. And then we add exclude. Like we're making progress. And now every feature that we add for every type of question kind of makes the next few questions easier to generate. And that was my goal of like, when I said I want to Pokemon all the questions, it's like, gotta get them all. Attitude. I never watched Pokemon, but all I know about it is gotta get them all.
I was gonna ask if you watched Pokemon.
I did not. But it's so prevalent in culture, right? That at least I know that someone's collecting something.
What do you collect?
That's a good question. I was gonna say friendships, but I really don't. I am actually not friends with a lot of people I used to be friends with, so I'm the worst. I'm the worst friend.
Okay, this is not great to hear.
No, but that's me. I'm a bad friend. But it's true. What am I gonna say? I'm trying to see what I named this. But why don't you prime us with what you collect?
What do I collect? I am a bit of a magpie. Like, I like collecting things. I collect pins, stickers.
Wow.
I think those are the main ones. I used to collect more things, but I need to control the chaos a little bit. So I'm trying to stick to pins and stickers for now.
I might have missed it because I was still typing. Were coins in your list?
No, I used to collect stamps.
Stamps.
Coins briefly, but I was like, nah, this is like too much.
Yeah. My parents used to travel with us quite a bit when we were younger, and so collecting coins and stamps was something that me and my siblings did very briefly. And I think my sister still has somewhere like these books of coins, and they get heavy, because you're putting
Yeah.
like these like built-in pouches, and they get pretty heavy. And I did think about that briefly before, because I'm not much of a collector. My brother collects comic books. He used to, anyway, and then he had also collected action figures when he was younger. My sister collected coins and stamps. It wasn't like I kind of contributed to it here and there, but the collection really was hers. I don't think I collect anything. I collect garbage and just have clutter. I collect clutter. That's what I.
So there's nothing you like intentionally collect.
I don't think so. Like if there is, it's escaping my mind. I'm trying to look around here.
Like when you visit a new place, is there a specific type of souvenir you go for?
Not really.
Or do you
No.
go for souvenirs at all?
Not really. No.
I see.
Which is not to say from time to time I don't like think, oh, let me pick this up, but it's not like a with intent of collecting souvenirs. It's kind of like, oh, I find this individual item interesting. Not that, oh, I'm going somewhere, I need to collect something. Is not. Not
The other thing that I collect, and my partner also happened to collect, is poker cards.
Oh, fascinating. Okay, and is this from casinos specifically?
No. Just playing cards, really, like just fancy playing cards.
Yeah. Because when you say poker cards, what's interesting is casinos have their branded decks of cards that they use in the casino for their games. Like if you played a poker game or a blackjack game, they would use that branded deck.
I have no idea.
And you can buy this deck, but if you buy it, they have to mark the deck in some way. So these are not cards you smuggle in and pull from your sleeve in an actual game. So they will like some of them will cut corners, literally cut like an entire corner of their normal deck. They'll cut it, and now we know if a card it has the corner cut, it's not authentic in the casino. And then sometimes they also hole punch them, so we know that they're not authentic.
I did not know that. Did you go to casinos much?
No, I've actually never.
Just fun fact.
I was inside the Niagara casino, somewhere in a casino somewhere in Niagara. But yeah, it's a fun fact because just I messed around with cards a lot.
Cool.
Yeah. Okay, so next question. Let's go. We only have so many more to go. Okay, that's fine because I think and I will do all of them online. I don't want to do any of them like I'm still committed to every line of code being live streamed, but it should get sort of smoother, hopefully, as we go. I have no idea how I would answer this in 15 seconds. or even 20 seconds, or even 25 seconds.
I can't even read it.
Exactly.
Like I'm like,
crying.
what is it asking of me?
I'm crying right now. Okay, when 100 is added to 5 given numbers, the average of these 6 numbers is 5.
Wait, I thought there's 5 numbers.
I'm already lost. This is a PhD level question.
5 more.
When 100 is added to 5 given numbers, so we have 5 numbers and we add 100 to those numbers, the average of the sum is 5 more than the average of the 5 given numbers. What is the new average? I think when you write it down, and I had a pen, I might actually try and write.
We need
this
some
down.
examples.
This one actually needs, like, I'm not even doing it like online. I actually need, no, I should do it online. Where do I do it? I feel like Notion is the right place to do it. So, okay, and let's just create a play page for myself. Enter. Look at it. You can't escape it. You can't escape it.
I will say the AI features of Notion has been really helpful.
Okay,
but you have to know what you're doing again.
Listen,
You sound so disappointed.
yeah, I don't like that. I don't want to know what I'm doing. I just want, I'm in the place where I'm in because
Just
people
want
expect
magic
me
to
know what I'm
happen.
doing. Yeah, like my whole expectation is, my whole persona is, oh, that guy probably knows what he's doing, even if I don't. That's the perception.
That's good though.
I want I want to offload all of that.
You want to maintain the perception without the effort.
Yeah, I want, even if I lose the perception, I'm happy as long as I don't have to do the actual work. Okay, that's the whole point. Is the whole promise is I want almost no work. Some work is fine. Okay. Like the type of work I want to do, and I know, like, this has been more of a chat session, but the type of work, like for example, at work, there's these admin based tasks that I'm the worst at doing. I'm the worst. I'm the worst person ever. And so even like procedural tasks where, like, okay, every pull request needs to have a Jira ticket, every this or that. And for me, that's the stuff I'd love to like plug and play and write scripts to automate. So one nice use case of AI would be, hey, look at the contents of these PRs that are created and see if there was a ticket for them. And if not, create the ticket. If there is, link the PR to the ticket and link the ticket to the PR. Okay, done. Like, that's work that I don't have to now think about. And AI can be fairly decent with limited mistakes in doing that work. That's where I want.
Does that exist? If it doesn't,
I don't know if there's like a plug and play system, but definitely I want to, like, I want to build that at some point. So this just so it helps me. Like, I don't have,
yeah,
especially
that
for like
sounds helpful.
for systems that kind of want to enforce these rules. Just having a script that does it for you is much easier. Alrighty. When 100 is added to 5 given numbers. So let me give myself 5 numbers, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and we'll keep it super simple. These numbers have an average. So 9, 10, 15 is the sum. So let's just say sum. Actually, you know what? I've been really good for this? A spreadsheet. Sum equals 15. And the average is equal to 3 of those 5 numbers. But when you add 100 to it, which is kind of silly, to be honest, but okay, fine. The sum is equal to, where's AI? Where's my AI? Ugh. Okay. 115 And the average now is 115 divided by 6. So let's say 19.17. And then let's read the rest of the question. Oh, I missed one part. Is the average when 5 is added, the average of the 6 numbers is 5 more than the average of the. I'm so lost. I feel embarrassed even like
I think
trying to think about this. Go ahead, please. Yeah.
I think it's saying that like the first, what do you call it, array, the average of the first array is 5 less than the average of the second array that you wrote.
Yes. So when 100 is added to 5 given numbers, the average of these 6 numbers is 5 more than the average of the 5 given numbers.
I think the
what is the
question
new-
definitely can benefit from a rewrite as well.
Yeah, and maybe we could pass that to AI. So let's write that. When 100, I think I can do this actually. Should have done this a few seconds ago. Okay, well, we're here, and this Zoom, please. Okay, that's legible. When 100 is added to 5 given numbers, the average of these 6 numbers is 5 more than the average of the 5 given numbers. What is the new average? Yeah, if I got this, if I was in grade 6 and I got this question on a B, I would just start weeping.
I would be pissed off. I would be like, this is a bad question.
I would be crying. I would not be.
Okay, maybe not in grade
Because I'm in
9.
front of my peers.
Yeah.
Please explain this question. Give me the answer. And then give me a better way of phrasing this question. And this is the kind of thing I should have looked at the question and said next, but I didn't. But we'll go as far as this, and then we'll. We have another comment saying from Moody Bhaiya, asking if we are new. Are we new to what, Moody? I am not new. I'm an old person. I was born in the 80s. So this is the kind of thing that's expected, right? So 5A, it wasn't clear to me. Okay. Let their average be 8. Got it. When I thought 5 more, okay, yeah, 5 more is A plus 5.
Yeah.
But I'm not sure what this 5A plus 100 means.
5A. I think that's the 5 times the average of the first given numbers. If that makes sense. Because average times the number of.
Oh, so that's just a sum.
Yeah.
That's the sum. Yeah, so that's the sum. Got it. Sorry. Yeah. That makes sense. That's correct. 5. This is, I wrote that down here. That is the sum. Moody, you're right. The answer is 75. But I just struggled with. Also, honestly, like I think it's also sometimes my brain doesn't want, like I feel like I'm capable of answering this question if I just like am in a different mindset. But right now my mindset is like developing question templates, and it's not like answering math questions. And so there's such a huge resistance. Like my brain is like, no, we're not like the moment I try to think about it, my brain says, no, we're not doing this right now. And so, okay. Better way to phrase the question. Moody Bhaiya says, average questions for class 5th Indian student. That's fair. That is fair. But you know what? You know what? You say that, but once you're like 55, like I am, you don't remember what you were taught in 5th grade, honestly.
Yeah, this question remind me of Math Olympics in 5th grade for sure. Is the rephrased question better?
I found this question very taxing to my mind. I will come back to it. I'm going to skip it for now. I will come back to this. But I will for now just eat the public embarrassment of not doing it.
Maybe like the rule of thumb is too many words. Skip for now.
It's not even words. It's too much brain processing to like the time it takes to process the question itself.
To understand like what is
yeah.
it even asking for?
Yeah. Is this what you meant that we should put this in a fig jam?
Yeah, I was thinking that it could be helpful to like just dump that on the fig jam. We can do that later.
I think that's the first question that I'm skipping actually in this list. If you wouldn't mind, Mary, popping that up into a fig jam, and then I can try and move on to the next question, which I might not understand. Thank you. Very kind.
Sounds good.
Okay, Moody Bhaiya, you have to tell us what grade you're in, or whether you're a student right now, or like, are you in school? Any type of school. So it's high school, university, graduate, PhD. Let us know. I am not a student right now. Mary, are you a student?
Not that I know of.
Yeah, you know what? People are like, I'm a student of life. No, I don't even want to be a student of life. Okay, I don't even want life's tests.
I'm a participant of life.
Yeah.
Sometimes unwilling.
Oh, nice. Digital electronics. That is actually a course that I took in university. And if you asked me a digital electronics question right now, Moody, I would be just as embarrassed as this question that I had read. So, but digital electronics, I enjoyed digital electronics. We were talking about like gates and like schematics, that kind of stuff.
I was gonna ask, what is digital electronics?
Google it. No, I'm actually not 55. I said that as a joke, Hamad. I'm 45. Let's just say that's more accurate representation of my age. But thank you.
Does this bring you joy?
A little bit, maybe. It brings me fun. It's very funny. The stretched length of an elastic string is this. This is 25 more percent than its unstretched length. What is the unstretched? Okay, yeah, I think this is reasonable. Moody, tell us what some of your other courses are in your computer application bachelor's. That'd be interesting to know. Okay, so the way I'm actually going to approach, I'm going to leverage AI a little bit here, at least my autocomplete AI. And so the question I'm asking myself is, what if I start by typing out this question in my editor, and then let's see if it helps me guide the code that I should write. And it might not, it might be wrong, and I'll have to catch it. But yeah, I'm finding my brain, like after a work day, like after a full day of work, to be doing more coding. After a full day of work where I have to read all this like badly written code by my colleagues. I'm just kidding. Although I'm gonna share this. Thanks for joining, Moody, and
Good luck.
I hope you do amazing on your exam. Thanks for joining us. Yeah, so after a full day of reading all this bad code, I come here and I write bad code. That's what happens.
This is what you asked for.
It is. It is. Okay, so let's do it. I'm going to comment this out. I'm going to take a section of this, go back to the bottom here, and uncomment this. And then we'll call this question elastic string. It doesn't have to make sense. And then here I'll start with, I'll do something different, which is start with the question template first. And we'll say the stretched, did I spell stretched correctly? Yeah, the length of an elastic string. Look, it's actually, this is and here's where AI is pretty great, because this is not an uncommon question. Like in the context of math, and this is precisely AI is saying, hey, what might the next word be here? What might the next word be? And there's a lot of prior art in the corpus that AIs do. Although it says find the LCM, so it's kind of mixing and matching stuff. So the stress length of an elastic string is blah. And instead of centimeters, I'm going to go millimeters, right? This is yeah, y, and instead of y times, we're going to say y percent more than its unstretched, more than its unstretched length. Sure, new line. What is the unstretched length? So you can go straight up here. Yeah, I don't know why AI is just repeating itself from this point, but okay, fine. The stress length of an elastic string is blah millimeters. This is y percent more than its unstretched length. And the formula here is, so 3 or 5 millimeters. Okay, so I might have to generate a different variable. So the stretch length. So I might say AS like I might, just name my variable this way. It can be an integer. I'm trying to think how I can define it, because for this purposes, like they used 305 here, and then for the new question, maybe they scratched that out and said 300 or 250. So it seems to me that it could be a range of like, or maybe this is the answer. Okay, fine. But to me, it means that it's probably this, but I probably want to step by fives. Like, I want this number to be divisible by 5. And there isn't quite a representation of that, but I could probably actually do multiply by, and instead of saying multiple, maybe I can actually just put in a number. So when, and this might not be the best way of generating this kind of a thing, but maybe I could use a formula, maybe I could do something else, but I'm trying to leverage what I've already coded. And so maybe I generate a number between this and this, and whatever the answer is, I multiply by a fixed number. So let me go back to my code and take a look at where I've defined multiply by. So it could be now a string or a number, right? And that should at least get rid of that issue. And now I look for where my implementation of this is, which is here. So if I say if this, and now I have to test whether it's a number or it's a string. So if type of variable multiply is a number, do this. and then else, and the only thing it is going to be is a string, so that's fine. And now I've ensured that the number that is generated is a multiple of something. So if we want an even number, we can multiply by 2, right? If we wanted a multiple of 3, so that's great. So stretched length here. And then my other variable is percent. And so let me generate that. Percent. And here I might do something very similar I might do something like 1 to 5, right? And multiply by 5 as well. And this will give me 5, 10, 15, 20, 25%. This is super cool. And it seems like those are the only 2 numbers that I need to generate. And then I'm hoping that the answer here can be generated by AI. So let's see. So it says stretched length is this, percent is this, and then I actually don't know if this formula is true. Are you primed to do math in your head, or even written down, Mary? Are you up for it? Can you help me out?
Sure. What are we doing?
This question, the stretched length of an elastic string is this. This is 25% more. I actually would have to write it down. Like I feel like the typing it out is a bit weird, and I can't carry it in my head. I'm not a 5th standard Indian student, it turns out. So let me see if I can't just write it. So I'm just writing it down. I have a notepad here, it turns out.
I'm just gonna, okay, maybe this will disrupt your thinking. Because I feel like my way of solving math problems is by like thinking out loud.
Yeah, you can go ahead.
I mean, writing it I think helps too.
Yeah.
Like just seeing it. But I'm thinking about like x, what would it be, like y equals to x times 1.25. Is that?
Yeah, that's what so I wrote down. Yeah, I wrote down 305 is equal to 1.25x, right? And the question is, what is the value of x? So this is a fairly simple question to do.
Oh, hello.
Hi, Afram. Am I pronouncing the name correctly? Let us know. Afram.
I can.
Do you know?
Afram.
Afram. Are
I
you
do
aware
know.
of
I
this
do
name?
know Afram. Yes.
Okay. All right. Well, welcome to the stream, Ephraim. And can you do math, Ephraim? Are you like a math whiz? Can you help us out? Because I'm struggling here.
It's been too long since we finished school.
It has been.
But I mean, it's a good sign that we were going down the same path. So.
Yeah, exactly. But it's not. It's when you're in practice, it's such second nature. But then maybe if you could take a look at this code, Mary,
yeah,
and say, like, if you looked at this code, it doesn't, although obviously it's not the same. I wonder if what I want to do is a few things. What if I took a screenshot of this? Can I ask AI to give me the text of this question? Wait, unable to upload, unfortunately. So that's not going to work for me. Let me see if I can't bring in how I generally use AI here when I'm asking questions. I'm not sure if it'll work here. Give me the text of this question.
What is Raycast AI?
Raycast is when I do this shortcut and it generates this like finder for me. It's overriding Spotlight. And so it's sort of, it has all these, I don't use most of the functionality here. It has an add-on, it's a paid add-on that allows you to access multiple types of AI engines. So I could use Claude Sonnet, I could use Google, and so forth, so on. And so I use this from time to time where like maybe I'm asking a question and AI can generate like the starting bit of code for me.
Cool. Can you also ask it to express it in like a formula or code? Yeah.
So it's very similar to like, so it did in thinking style what we were doing. And I think it's also using LaTeX or something, because when I paste this, note that that is in that format. So I feel like because it's explained this pretty well, I trust this line of code. It might be wrong, and we'll only later be embarrassed. But I feel like I can trust this. Percent more is just percent, and stretched length is I can't spell or it can't spell. That's fine. I'll just replace that. And yeah, I'll just replace these instances with that and that. Okay. So now, so this should be it. The other thing I actually did want to ask is we're using math.js. So I'm going to say I'm using math.js. I want to express this problem as an evaluatable string. So unstretched equals, I can do this. What will this return? Oh. Okay. Okay, got it. So I would still have to do a little bit of work here. Okay, so I'm gonna just play around a little bit. So I'm gonna say assume I have 25 as percent and 305 as stretched length. How would I, what is the evaluate string? Come on, you can do it. So I would have to do something like this, but I have to give it a scope. Actually, none of this might be true, by the way. That's one of the things is when you're reading it, you're like, oh my God, this is so great. It might be true, but it also might be totally not true. And so I'm just thinking if my, and this is me trying to quickly validate whether my idea of like using an answer formula would work. And what's interesting to me is that they have scope here that presumably replaces these values, which is kind of like what I have been doing with those brackets and replacing those values. So maybe that becomes the future version of this. But for now, I'm down and happy with this. I need to test whether my multiply by works. And then I'm okay with whatever this is representing. Because the moment I read this, it's like my brain doesn't even want to try and evaluate this. Like I'm just like, ugh, that's what computers are for, you know? Okay, so bye-bye AI. And let's us
We got a question from Hamad.
Respected sir and miss. Really enjoying your creativity. I'm going to sleep. Have a great sleep. Inshallah, I will join you tomorrow. Can you tell your stream time, please? So we're generally streaming. So we are in Eastern Standard Time. And so generally this range of time is when we have been streaming. But honestly, it is random, likes the name of the stream, unfortunately. But we've been trying to do 4:45, 5, anywhere from 4 to 6 p.m. range is when you're trying to stream. And I have not said this yet, but obviously, if you want to catch us, subscribe. I guess that's what it's for. I know you're supposed to say it in every video, but I don't, we haven't said it because I don't want to beg for your subscriptions. But I will. I will do it.
Like and subscribe.
Yeah, like and subscribe. But subscribe and so you get notified, because typically, like maybe an hour or two before going live, I'll schedule it. Because it's a very random emotional thing for me. It's like, oh, I'm going to do it today, probably this time, and an hour or two before I will. But thanks you for joining. I really appreciate folks joining and interacting with us. It does. It's great validation, to be honest. All right. This is also AI. I actually want to go back to my game and test out this new question that we've generated. And we've also generated a new kind of dynamic for it. So no cigar, because my something is wrong here. And I feel like I've relied too much or not enough on AI. So let's do that. Maybe it doesn't like this percent. I'm trying to see whether the ends and closings of things are fine. This Y is not true, so I do need to replace it. So that's on me. And then that might have been the crux of the issue. And then this text block seems fine. And then this text block also seems fine. So maybe that's it. Also, Hamad, if you haven't gone yet, you should know that if you want to interact with past versions of Mary and myself, we've been streaming fairly regularly for the last few weeks, really for the last month overall. And so we have a backlog of streams that you can use. Especially if you're like, oh my God, this guy's voice is putting me to sleep. That's perfect, because now you're going to sleep. And we have this huge collection of just me rambling. So, take advantage, I say. You were going to chime in, it seemed. You were like...
I was going to say something. I was going to say...
don't hold back.
The other day, I was catching up on, like, a stream that, like, you did solo. And I was watching it in a very like relaxed setting. Let's just say.
It's gonna be great. Go ahead, hit me.
I did not fall asleep, but I think watching it in a relaxed setting was definitely helpful. That's all I was gonna say.
Yeah, I bet. It could have gotten you to sleep. You're saying, like, if you weren't trying so hard to stay awake, what I'm hearing is, if you weren't trying so hard to stay awake, you would have fallen asleep.
I mean, I think if somebody said that about me, I would take it as a compliment. So,
no, I mean, it's not. I don't take it one way or another. It is what it is. So I was being thrown off here. So there's a few things I need to solve. And in my debugging process, what I was just doing is, it wasn't clear to me what was causing the issue. So I was kind of just removing chunks of the string until it started working. And then when it did, I was able to figure it out. So here I have this percent that was causing the problem. And it's probably the case that I need to represent this in a text, latex Katex format. So let me just go to the support table and look for percent, or just search for maybe the percent symbol. This is a comment, so that might explain that. Do I need to simply escape it even though it's within the text block? So this is some learning for us. This might just be the case. So let's come back, and we do have to deal with a size problem. And Mary, we're coming down to an hour, 50 minutes. You had said that in the last 10, 15 minutes, you wanted to talk about your synthesis of the interview that you had done. So I do want to keep that in mind as well.
Admittedly, I have not done as much as I hoped.
Oh my God, Mary!
Because I'm really bad at multitasking.
You had one job. I'm just teasing.
I mean, I think I can. I will commit. You know what? I will commit to sharing tomorrow first thing.
Fantastic. Which luckily, I guess, selfishly gives me more time to actually debug this.
Yeah, please.
And so the percent thing makes sense here. Now we've gotten rid of the space, and this looks a lot more fluid. I wonder how I could get rid of this space here, but I'm not going to dive into that right now. 15% more. Now, the problem I do want to try and solve here is because I can't even look at my button, right? My button's gone because of the size of this. So quick fix for now is question, and I can simply reduce the size of the question here to something like even just 1 rem. And here I expect to see something that fits, but we're just going to test the theory here that this works, which I can now just copy paste this into AI. Answer, please. Have you seen, Mary, the money, please clip from Parks and Rec?
I've seen Parks and Rec, but I'm not sure what you are referring to.
The money, please clip? Okay, well, that's something for me to send to you later. So the answer here is presumably 13.04. Let's see whether we get there in our app. If I say reveal answer, it is 13.04. So let's go ahead and fix this a little bit to be, that, and we'll also add the approximate symbol there as well. So this is what will actually be fun-ish. So, and I'm going to split my screen. I do have one place that I was using approx before, and we could do this rounded business as well. So I will do the same thing here. Round to 2 decimal places. Let AI take care of that specific line. I think I could also use 2 fixed here to accomplish this, but AI does not want to do that, and I'm fine with that. And then here, I want to do the same thing of using approx. And note that because I have it in my code here, it is also available here. And we can do this. And now when I come back, and I do have to regenerate because answers and questions are generated ahead of time, so I can't simply refresh. I mean, there is a good argument for that just being a visual thing. So yeah, if I refresh, it would have worked. But now we get this business, and I'm fairly happy with this. So a few issues. So I'm going to commit this bit for now. That way, I'm sort of separating some of the concerns. And actually, yep. And let me just uncomment all of that. We've added another type of question. So let's just take a look at the diff here. Okay, so really we're adding multiply by as a number. Number ability. Okay, so I'm happy with that. That is committed. And Now I want to see if I can't fit this in there. So maybe this is probably the last thing that I do. I might spend about 5 to 10 minutes on this. If I get it, I get it. If I don't, then I might research it off stream and then come back and apply it on stream. Okay. So what I want is I want this bit. We can also ask AI. I have a div with text in it. I want the text to take the size of the div. I want the text to fit into the div. Use the CSS property fit content techniques or scale text. So I'm just scrolling here to see. It's giving me a few options. Font size clamp. How you can try this. I don't know what this means, but it's using the viewport width, which is probably not, like our viewport's not changing, right? But our the amount of text is changing. So maybe I can give that information to AI. My viewport size is not changing, but the amount of text in the div can change. And if there is more text, I want it to be smaller so that all the text is visible. So it's giving me some JavaScript code. Interestingly enough, pre-stream, I was looking this up. So I don't know why I didn't just revert to that. There's apparently a library called Fitty, which makes text fit perfectly. I have not used it before, but it might be something we can try and see if we can leverage this. So let's do that. And then if this doesn't work, I'll give AI a shot. And you might say, Mary, for a guy who started ranting about AI, was like, ugh, just the general disdain for AI. Why am I using it with regularity here? But before we go there, we have Faisal joining the stream asking us, what are you building? Faisal, we are building a Math B game. This is funny because this is maybe the 4th time I've answered this question, but I'm happy to answer it again. I feel like that's what live streams are for. It's like, for the viewers just joining us, sort of template on television. We, from a math teacher who actually teaches students, have gotten this sort of slide-based Math B game. There are multiple rounds, and if a student answers incorrectly, they're eliminated. They don't move on to the next round. But if they get it correct, they move on to the next round until we decide to end the game and you have either one winner or multiple winners, the people remaining. What we are doing is Mary and I are trying to build it on the web. And so you have your list of students. If they get it incorrect, they get crossed out. If they get it correct, they move on, and you'll have round 2, 3, 4, 5 until it's done. And we're trying to encapsulate that entire experience in an app so that these questions here aren't static, they're dynamic. And so, it's you could play this game over and over with the same students without them necessarily getting bored. Or you can, that's really it. Same students, play it again or play it widely, broadly, whatever you want. And we're trying to build out that process. And as part of that, I'm trying to make this text fit the div. So I installed Fitty, and I should be able to use Fitty in this format. I'm not immediately seeing, while there is an npm install, I'm not seeing a require, and I'm not seeing Russell99 says that we should put in the description a description of what we're building. This is a very good, sorry, did I do both of us click on it at the same time? Twice? Okay, this is a very good point, Russell, and we're going to do that moving forward. It's just we never expected this many people to join the stream. We've been streaming for the last month, okay? And this is probably the most interacted stream thus far, I would say. I think that's fair to say. And so this is not a question that we've had to answer. We've done maybe over 20 streams, I feel like, thus far. At least 15 to 20 streams. And this is the first time we've been asked this question over and over and over. And that is great advice. Thank you. And Afram, goodbye. I think I said that correctly. Please correct me wrong. Correct me one more time, Mary.
It's a frame.
A frame. Okay, close enough, I hope, and I apologize already. Okay, so here I'm looking for either import or require as a usage definition. I'm not seeing that, so it seems like this library is old enough for the author not to have, 8 years ago, 6 years ago. It was updated 2 years ago, and it does have typings. So that gives me some, okay, it has typing, so it will import. But it doesn't have an example for that. And then there's a page, which is a usage page, so it has examples. And that's also helpful. And then are there docs that aren't? No, so the docs are just GitHub docs. Cool. That's fine. I think I have enough. And I need to fitty my element. There are a few other concerns here that I have about whether this can be used or not. So fitty.fit, fitty's element. This might not work right off the, I'm hoping it does, but maybe not. So when we do this, my assumption is that it applies to all .fit classes, right? Because it's the first fitty, so it picks all of them up. But since I'm using Vue, I want, I'm going to have the element reference, and I wonder whether the element reference fits here. And maybe and because I don't see any examples of that usage, my things are, okay, I got to try it out and then see that it doesn't work. But maybe there's a quicker way. To apply that. So fitty instance does have an HTML element. It does work. So it takes either a string or an HTML element. So this library seems to be well suited for our purposes, just not documented in that way. So it wasn't immediately apparent to me that that feature was available. So having done this rant, I'm ready to try it out. So fitty, there we go. And I've restarted the server, and I'm here in my question page. And this is where we're getting the question. So let me import fitty from fitty, I believe. And I should be able to go to definition and get the type file. Excellent. That's very useful. And I'm hoping this will be as simple as it seems. And then the next place that I want to go is to the container div of the question. And I think I have a ref for it already. But this is the outer, this is the inner one. I want to have an outer ref. So I might do something like ref equals outer Katex ref, and then get the rest of that there. I'm going to remove the text size since I'm hoping that this reference will help me apply that size. Let's go up here and define outer Katex ref. And maybe I can just, I will have to do that here and here as well. So I'll just group these groupings of variables together. And then I feel like, and this might not work, this might actually cause issues, but I feel like I can have a watcher on here because I could probably do a watch effect. This might be excess, but here we go. It's given me some options, and maybe some options that aren't even real, maybe. So the options are min size, max size, multi-line, and observe mutations. So I'm going to say observe mutations false, actually, because theoretically, that's what this will be doing. This watch effect will be doing. And then I'm not going to do this to begin. Why will it not take this? So I'm getting some errors here. It's saying FIDI options. An array here, but just one instance here. This all seems fine. No overloads match this call. Okay. Because this ref here is not defined as an HTML element. So that's what we'll need to do. So let's do that here. It's either HTML element or null. And then by the time we get here, it will be. And then here, this should be dot value is an HTML element. So that much is set. And now I'll have no overloads. Let me just make sure that this is HTML element. It is. So HTML element options. I feel like this ought to work. I'm not sure why I'm getting this error. HTML element and options. HTML. So this works. This works. This works. This proves that it's not null, so this should just work. It might just be a TypeScript issue and not an actual functional issue. And so it seems like it's working somewhat. So let's see. If I comment this out, it's this. If I bring it back, it's this. So that's not too bad. There are other ways of doing this, but for now, yeah, I might be in a tough spot here. And I'm trying to think how I get myself out of it. So what I'm thinking is I want to add some padding, and I want this to be probably centered this way. So let me see if I can't try that. I'm using flex. So it's the element that is the outer of this one. And I'm doing, it contains this and other things. So this one is H full. And I think I can make it W full as well. And then I have active center, and I want to justify center as well. And maybe that will be good enough. It is not. But I feel like this was working before. Like a couple of code changes ago, this was working, wasn't it? No. Okay, sorry. Yeah. So let me go back to FIDI. Let me comment that out. And now I expect it to work. So it's centered. And so FIDI is undoing my centeredness. And it's not doing maybe the best job of sizing this either. It's not bad, but it's not the best. So where am I? One thought is maybe I can split this question to 3 lines so that it fits better, and then FIDI can do a better job. The other part of this is I feel like I need to understand exactly how FIDI is modifying this, because I mean, this is nice. This is larger. It's better. So let's see if we can't figure out what's happening here. I'm going to make this size a little less, smaller, a little less. That's not even language. And I want to go inside here. So this is the math output. This is that outer, this is my div. And then this is the span inside it. And for some reason, so I'm flex row. Item center should put it in the center. But there's a style override. It's changed to display inline block. And that's why it doesn't work. If it was inline flex, it would work. And this work is being done by Fitty. I can't even do something like important flex or important inline flex. That won't work either. So let me have a think. What if I apply Fitty to Katex ref? I'm not sure if this will work at all, but it's worth a shot. So I'll need to type Katex ref again to avoid one of my typing issues. And let's see if that doesn't help. So I have this, I have this. It seems centered, but it's not larger. So you can't have everything, Fitty says. Fitty says, what do you want me to do? The other thing I can try is doing an H full and a W full here. And then I would also have to do a W full here. And maybe this tells Fitty, hey, just try a little bit harder. And no, that makes things worse, as a matter of fact. So maybe the Fitty path isn't great, and I've gone way over time in terms of what I want to do. So maybe I spend just maybe 5 more minutes, and then we'll give up. You know what word is in my vocabulary? Quit. That's definitely in my vocabulary. And so we'll quit when it doesn't work.
Quit or pause?
What's the difference? You know,
Quit
pausing
for
is a
now.
kind of quitting.
Well, I think sometimes it like helps to like reset.
I don't like what you're doing here, Mary. I don't like that you're putting a positive spin on a clearly negative sentiment that I'm trying to put out into the world. Why are you trying to turn my frown upside down?
Well, look at you having fun now.
I don't know. You know,
you're just against fun.
All right. So, hey, now it works. Like 2 seconds ago, it wasn't working. Could have sworn. Oh no, it doesn't work. Look at what is done here.
It wants to take up space.
Yeah, it's man-spreading. I think one of the problems. So one of the things is I think so it is working. Look at that. Like as it changes, look at that adjustment. So Fitty is like trying hard, right? But what's not helping Fitty is that this text is not wrapping. And I think you kind of have to be aware of this whole, Katex does use MathML. in certain places. That's fascinating, but I don't think it's displaying it. Okay, that's interesting. Did not know that. And then here we have all these things, but the way Katex HTML is probably styled prevents any wrapping from happening. So let me ask AI this question. Can I have Katex text wrap? I don't love this. I do not love this. Because I feel like this will cause more problems than it solves. That's my general sense. But let's see if we can't give it a shot and test that out. I mean, I do like what's happening with Katex. I do want to wrap. White space, no wrap. Seems like our friends. Well, I don't know who is applying that actually. I actually don't know who is applying that. So let me comment out Fiddy. Let's exclude Fiddy from the equation and let's see whether all that by default is applied by. No, so it is Fiddy. So Fiddy's saying no wrap. Fiddy's saying, which is not just, I mean, look, like it's not wrapping. It's doing everything it can to not wrap.
Sounds like you're saying wrap, like music.
I know. I was gonna add actually. I was gonna say it because it has no rhythm. Before I was interrupted by you, Mary. So it seems like I've ruined this even further than what it was before. So I don't have a solution. I'm gonna take a shot, one more shot in the dark. No. But then when I did W full here, it did work. Yeah, but that W full is really ruining this. So there's a combination of issues happening here. And I don't feel like I'll find a solution like in a reasonable time. I have 2 minutes, I feel like, from when I said some minutes, but it's not, I don't think I'm gonna easily get this. So maybe some research on my side, or maybe the next time when we get together, I will just try and figure it out. I'll research it live and we'll try and figure it out. Anything else you want to add today, Mary?
No, I think I'm pretty done with the synthesis side of things, and there are some really cool, I guess, highlights to share. So I'm excited about that.
Okay, cool. And just as a visualization of where we are, on this page, we have 1, 2, 3 questions. We're not going to do this, so we have 2 questions, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 plus 2 is 8. 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. Oh my God. 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. 18, only 18 more questions to go. So hopefully the next time we get together, we can share the synthesis and then continue with this spacing problem. I think the spacing problem is now worth spending some time on because we're getting into a variety of different word problems that we want to accommodate. And if I'm not able to solve it within like, say, 15 to 20 minutes in the next stream, I'm just going to try and split the lines manually. 10 minutes, let's say 10 minutes. I say I give up. I'm just going to split the lines manually so it fits into our framing, and we'll just have to keep editing the questions. It won't be auto magic, but we'll try. All right. Well, then, thank you for joining us on this session of Product Like It's Friday, even though it's Wednesday. And the next time will be a random time. And hopefully we'll see you there. But for today, goodbye. Let's go home, everyone.